Hey guys, I wanted to shoot a quick video to show the difference between the V4 swing arm and chain adjustment compared to the V2 swing arm and chain adjustment. This will be the same for the V4 Panigale or Streetfighter and the V2 Panigale and V2 Streetfighter. So here is the V4 Streetfighter, and it is a stock sprocket, stock chain, stock swing arm, nothing has been modified. So the settings on this is about an inch is what they recommend, so that's about 0.996 of an inch, and the recommendation is basically that it's against the swing arm, and you can see right there they recommend about halfway through the chain, which is basically the centerline pin, and you put this up against the actual frame, not against the actual inside. There's a little plastic bushing, so it's about right there is where you want to have your chain adjust. Now this swing arm also has your tightening points right here and right here, and it is the same adjusting point, which is, you know, use your tool, whichever one you are comfortable with. This is the one I use. Now with this bike, the V4 Streetfighter and the V4 Panigale, when you adjust this way, so you go clockwise, that actually tightens. Then you take it to loosen it and you go from underneath and you pull up, that loosens. So like I said, this is how it's done for the V4 Panigale and the V4 Streetfighter. Let me show you in comparison to the V2 Streetfighter and V4 Panigale, which is different. Alright, so here we have a V2 Streetfighter as opposed to the V4 Streetfighter that I just showed you. This is also a brand new bike. The only no mods to the chain and or sprocket. You can see the swing arm is different in length and configuration. The other thing that's different is the actual pinch bolts that you can see right there. These are also a 10 millimeter and they're vertical instead of the 8 millimeter that are straight down this way. The other big change is that, like I said, on the V4 Panigale and V4 Streetfighter, to adjust your chain tighter, you go down clockwise. To adjust it looser, you go up to loosen it, which would be counterclockwise. On the V2, like I said, V2, doesn't matter Panigale or Streetfighter, they have the same swing arm, same sprockets. Well, they might be different sprocket, but same swing arm. This was the interesting factor, that if you go this way and go clockwise, you actually loosen it. So the V2 setup, V2 swing arm, is backwards than the V4. So when you go this way, clockwise, you loosen it. When you go counterclockwise, you tighten it. So that is something I wanted to show you guys. The next thing I'm going to show you is actual chain measurement, which is a little different as well. Alright, so just to show you a quick demonstration, just so you see what I'm talking about. I've got this thing as tight as pretty much you want any chain to ever go. It's like a guitar string, so it doesn't move. So it is fully tight. To loosen it, you put your tool on, and I am going to push down, and you can see the chain's dropping. Now, very loose. To tighten it, you go from underneath, kind of hard to see. Okay, now I'm going to pull up. And you saw it tighten. Like I said, I'm underneath and pulling up. Again, this is opposite of the V4 Panigale and the V4 Streetfighter. which is literally to tighten it, you go clockwise, to loosen it, you go counter. So just a point of reference, because I wasn't able to find any good videos on it, so I wanted to make one real quick. And then I'll show you on just a measuring of what I do next. Okay, so on the Panigale V4 and the Streetfighter V4, the way you did the measurement was basically an inch, or it could be using this, and you could see it's 0.993, which is a little under an inch, or you could do this. Now, on the V2, they basically say right in front of this bolt that does the plastic chain guard, you measure up against the frame, and it's to the center line of the chain as a reference. That doesn't work because the sprocket on the Streetfighter is 3 teeth larger, which then puts your chain down further. So this height between here and here, along with having a different swing arm, so I believe this swing arm is also, it looks like it's shorter than the Streetfighter, or the V4. The V2 looks like it is shorter than the V4. So your distance in general on this chain between the swing arm is further out, so it goes deeper. So if you were to go over here and show, this right there is about an inch from there to there. This chain is about as tight as I would make it for my preference, and you can see it's not going to work. So the way I measure this, and it's your own personal preference, if you're not sure, have a dealer do it, is I go by free play. So this is about as tight as I would want it. So this free play is about 3/4 of an inch. If you press from the furthest point pressing down to the furthest point pressing up, it's about 3/4 of an inch. So if you go here, you know, from that point to that point is where you measure and get your about 3/4 of an inch. That's what I would do. So the way I have this set up is it's on a front Baxley wheel chock to keep the bike straight and centered, and you have it up onto the stand. That's how you set your initial adjustment. Once you're fine with that, then you take the stand down, you press, you put some weight on the bike, bounce it up and down a little bit, and then recheck the measurement again to make sure it's still within your specifications or your preference. Then you go through and you tighten the bolts over here, like I showed you previously, to the specific torque reference in the manual, and the torque reference is the same between the Panigale V2 and the V4, the Streetfighter V2 and V4. And then you're all done. Once that's set, you're all good to go. Like I said, that's the main difference between the two bikes, and I hope this helps you. All right, one more thing I wanted to say. Like I said, these are my personal preferences on chain adjustment. If you're not comfortable doing it yourself, then refer to your owner's manual or your dealer for having the work done or for the information. This is, like I said, this is my own personal preference on how I set this up.